So could you follow it? You can tell us our names. Tell us your name.
I'm Mike Hatcher.
Hey folks, it's Ernie Pack.
I am Natalie Jones.
What's up everybody? My name's Matt Warner.
Hey, I'm G-Man. You know what? I'm George Joplin. I'm anybody you want me to be, but you know what? There's one thing I am. I'm part of the para movement. That's right. Feel it. Oh, feel it.
My name is Melody Knapp, and I am part of the para movement.
This is April, the Psychic Housewife from New Jersey, and I am part of the para movement.
Hashtag the para movement.
And I am part of the para movement.
And I'm part of the para movement.
I'm Sophia Tombrelli, and I'm part of the para movement.
Just wanted to talk real quick about the para movement that's going on in the world. It's all about para unity. It's about para family. It's about diversity like you'll see nowhere else. In the paranormal community, we got folks of all races, religions, sexual orientations, political beliefs, you name it. And we're spreading positivity, good vibes everywhere. So, hashtag the para movement. Join it, be a part of it, and everybody have a great day. Take care.
Why did you let him kill me? It was the clown.
Listening to Animal Paranormal Live, where we talk about all things paranormal. And now, here's your host, the Animal.
Are you ready? Hey, what's up, folks? This is the Animal from Animal Paranormal Live. I am your host, the Animal. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been an amazing Christmas. I hope you guys had amazing holidays. I have an amazing guest on here that's on an amazing new show called Ghost Finders, an amazing paranormal investigator, an amazing friend, Melanie Knapp. What is up?
Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh. Crazy holiday, right?
Crazy.
A COVID holiday.
Between COVID and all, everybody just going nuts shopping online, and it's just been a kind of just a weird Christmas. I don't know about you, but it has been for my family.
Mine too. We did like first ever Zoom Christmas, and it was very awkward and weird, and like I had them up on my TV, and it was just like I miss my family, and like half their presents weren't delivered yet because the post office and stuff is like out of control. It was just wild, but I'm just like so grateful that like at least we're alive and able to get together, even if it's virtually. So yeah.
Well, I just got over here. Well, I just got a couple of Christmas cards that just came in today, and I'm like, holy crap! It's just so weird, just getting everything, late, and just everything's just so weird. It's been such a weird year. I'm just happy it's over pretty much this week. Hopefully 2021 will be a better year for everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm sorry, but like I just saw Dan's comment in the feed talking about goop in my eye. Like my son got conjunctivitis like the day after Christmas. And I'm pretty sure I'm coming down with it too. So sorry guys, not my best, but can still talk all the spooky things.
And hey, what's up, Dan? How's it going, brother? Well, thank you all for watching. I'm pretty excited about this because there's a new show called Ghost Finders out there, and I just watched it, and it's pretty interesting. I love the cool gadgets you guys use and how you guys just, just the start of it from the beginning, how they bring you in and how they start an investigation. Why don't you go through a little bit about that, how that all like began for you?
Yeah. So first off, the Ghost Finders is not a new show. It's been airing for years now. But for me, I came on in 2018 as a guest investigator at their episode of the Greystone Manor, and just hit it off with the producers and the cast. And they approached me about coming on full time, and I absolutely jumped on board for that. And I have known Dan for years. I've hosted events at the Hinsdale House, so it was a no-brainer for me. No brainer at all. So what I really love about our team is we have so many different aspects. So it's not just like all like one-minded people. Like we come from all walks of life. We have our medium, we have our witch, we have Dan, who's like the tech guy, and he owns one of the most haunted houses in America, right?
Yeah,
and then we have Nick, who's like a born skeptic. I've been investigating for over 10 years now. And we all just bring like a little something to the table. And it's just so cool. It's so cool. And like Dan's like my normal like investigative buddy. So we've got like Rob and Megan, who just bring like that supernatural, like witchy, psychic element to the table. And then we have like the science, back it up with different kinds of equipment, Dan and I group. So it's really cool. And then sometimes we'll like commingle and like switch it up, and it's just it's out of this world, and it's so much fun.
That's awesome. Before we get on to more about Ghost Finders, and by the way, folks, if you guys have questions for Melody, please write them in the comment section. We'd love to hear your right over there. Well, right over there.
I don't know where I'm pointing at.
I don't know where I'm pointing at either. So, but yeah, please write your comments down. Natalie, I'm sure Melody. Sorry, been talking to so many people. Just write your questions in the comments, and she would love to hear about them. But before we go back into Ghost Finders, I would like to really know more about your story, how it all started for you. Like, where did this paranormal experience start?
Yeah, so for me, I've always been really interested in the paranormal and the supernatural, but like growing up, I never really had any experiences, so I wasn't entirely a believer that it was true. When I was 18 years old, I was doing some urban exploring, and I came face to face with this shadow creature. It ran out from a bulkhead into the path I was walking on, looked me dead in the eye, turned, ran away, and like disappeared in front of my eyes. And it was the most intense, crazy experience I've ever had, like to this day. And it just made me jump head first into the field, because like I wasn't so much scared. I was just like, what was that? How can that be? How can I hear something, see something, then watch it like disappear? I was just blown away. So I really wanted to jump into like the science of it and kind of figure out like, how can this be? What is this? Yeah. Is it a manifestation of like my current state of mind? Like, did I make that happen? Or is that an actual entity that like presented itself to me? So that's really what made me jump into the field and start as an investigator.
That's pretty cool. Now, how did you meet Daniel? How did that friendship become about?
Yeah, so it was I want to say like a year, a little less than a year after we had bought the house. Maybe it was around a year. I had heard about the Hinsdale house, and another girl and I wanted to host an event there. It's one of the most haunted houses in America. It's notorious, like the 1970s exorcism of the property, not a person, but like of the property. Everything about that place just drew me in, and I knew I wanted to go. So, one time I drove like 8 hours by myself to the Hinsdale house and slept there with the girl that I hosted the event with. And I met Daniel, obviously, because, I think that was before he had like a huge crew of people working there. But yeah, so I met Dan, and it was just, we hit it off right off the bat, and we've been friends ever since. So I want to say
That's cool.
Early 2016, mid 2016, I met him.
That's awesome. I remember being there working on a project with him and a couple other individuals. That place is hopping. I mean, I'll never forget because we got to dive the lake, which was really cool, and check out the place. It is, stuff was happening. Cars were turning on by itself. You just
blew my mind. You just blew my mind. At the event that I hosted there, we had an incident where like the car alarm started going off, and not just like all of them. It was like one stop, the next stop, the next stop, and it went down the whole line of cars of people that were at the event. That's crazy. I love finding out stuff.
I don't know if Daniel remembers, but I think it was one of the production team car that just started out of nowhere, and I don't know if the key was in the car or not. I can't remember. This was like, I think it was a year and a half ago. I don't know if Dan remembers that, but it was just so crazy that was happening. And then just other production stuff just was going weird. And our dive equipment was just, it was such a cool experience there. The feel there, the energy. And also I hear about stuff that's in the forest that are there that is very cool, because as soon as I left there, I had dreams about that place just calling me back there. So, and I remember telling Daniel that message. He's like, dude, tell me about it. And I told him, it's just like, just is calling it. It's calling me back. And Dan's like, that's what this place does. It calls on you. It just grabs you. As soon as you go there, it just connects with you.
It's so common. It's funny you mentioned the woods, because the woods have always called me there. Like, it's so crazy because everyone like focuses on the house, but for me, I just feel like there's so much more beyond the walls of the house. There's so much more once you start walking into the property, and you can feel it. You feel the shift in energy as you're just like even walking. Like before he even had built that beautiful staircase that leads into the woods, it was just like, oh my gosh, like there's just something there. There's something there.
Well, you could feel it diving in that lake. You could just feel the energy coming from it. It's just an incredible place. And I don't know if any of my guests here on the show or anybody in the audience have been there. Please go there, message Daniel, and go and experience it for yourself, because it's such a cool place. Trust me, you'll love it.
Yes.
Especially in the woods.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I'm very excited because I get to go back. We'll get to go back there in March, and hopefully Melody will be there too. So that'll be really awesome.
I'm so excited.
So Dan, be ready. But anyways, back to Ghost Finders. It's very cool. Like, now tell me about your the people that you work with there, of what they do. I know one of them's. I know Dan works with tech, and you were saying one's a psychic medium.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the other girl on the? She was more of a.
Oh, Megan. Okay, so I'll just bring you through the whole cast because it's so easy, because I could talk about them for days. So we'll start with the host, who is Rob Thompson. He's our psychic medium. So he actually channels spirits and like allows them to communicate through him, which is a wild ride. I've never witnessed something like that before. Like I've met like not regular. I mean, they all have their different pathways, right? I've met other mediums that, go about their craft a different way. They channel different ways, but he actually like allows them into his body and they speak through him. And it is a wild ride from start to finish. And you can tell like it takes a lot out of him. Like I can't imagine having an entity like enter you and speak through you and use your energy in that way. But that's Rob. He is such a wonderful British dear. We have Megan Deputy. She is I always mess it up, eclectic witch. Eclectic witch. And she always starts off every investigation with a ritual wherever we are, and it's catered specifically to that location.
That's interesting.
It's normal, yeah, and it's normally like a ritual of respect and intent and an offering she gives to them, and she allows them to know, hey, you can come forward, you can speak to us. You don't have to, but you can. We're here with eyes to see, ears to listen. Like, she goes through the whole thing, and it's wild. I'm always off camera watching her rituals because it's the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. And it's just like, it's almost like a dance with the universe. That's the best way to describe it. Well, it's so beautiful.
Well, the weird part is you never see that in a show. So that's why I think it's so interesting that, you know, you guys are doing that. Something I like to look, when I'm looking in the shows, I like to see different things that no one has ever done before. So I think that's really, I think personally it's awesome and just really cool in a way.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's what really drew me to this project and made me so eager to be a part of it. Like, it's something that's not seen out there, that I haven't really seen done. And what I really like about it, like the most, like if I had to pick one thing that I like the most about the Ghost Finders, it's the intention of respect. There's no walking in and being like, show yourself, demon, or anything negative, because we never really know what we're dealing with. And my belief, especially through working through the field, is a lot of times people misinterpret communication for negative, and it's not negative. I believe my new quote is, it's almost always never a demon, because it's not. It's unexplainable, and that provokes fear, which provokes people to want to put a label on it. And the easiest label is demon. You know?
Yeah. I like that quote that Zach. There's a meme out there with Zach Baggins say it's a demon, and then the other guy's like, "No, it's just Taco Bell." And just as soon as you said that, it just made me go to that meme for some reason. I don't know why.
I love it though. It's so funny.
But it's cool though that you guys have that respect for each other, and because that's for an investigation, you can't. When I go to an investigation, you can't just force it out, because not a lot of times, you know, spirits or whatever it is. Oh, I mean, people have their different labels for it, but you can't force it out, because if you try to force it out, you're just pretty much talking to empty space, because it ain't going to want to come out.
And like a lot of times, if you do get something, it's pretty much like you're forcing your narrative on it, right? And what's really cool is in our episode that just aired on Friday, you kind of saw, like, as investigators, we need to be adaptable. Dan and I went upstairs to try and communicate with a 9-year-old girl who had passed away, Anna. And Anna wasn't coming through. It went in a completely different direction, which is why you can't really go in like narrow-minded, like, oh, I'm going to accomplish this, this, and this. Like, the spirits lead you. The spirits decide what your night is going to be. Which is why, like, first and foremost, we need to have an open mind when we're going, that we may not be communicating with who we're looking to communicate with. We need to just be open and ready for whatever comes forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a question here from someone. Have you all encountered any demons on investigation?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I want to know.
No.
No?
Is that a letdown? Is that a letdown? I'm sorry.
No,
we've encountered some crazy stuff, but no demons. I'm sorry.
I think like the most thing I've encountered, honestly, like, well, which was recent on an investigation with a team, but it wasn't demon-like. It was very evil, but it wasn't demonic. It was just some negative energy that wasn't good. But,
so here's my question. What makes you think it was evil?
Because the way you could feel the heaviness on it, how it was attacking, it like really drew me down where I fell to the ground and just lost all control of everything. And that's like the most craziest experience I've had ever paranormal investigating. It was at a prison, and you could just feel the energy there. It was nuts. I've never felt anything. I mean, I felt a lot of crazy things, but this was probably the most crazy, intense thing, because I'm very, like, to stuff like that, I'm very sensitive to, but I'm very like I'll look out for things to make sure if like something's very negative, I won't go to that area. But this was the first time I've ever experienced something that negative that took me out of my. It actually changed my personality in a way. And there's actually people that could test to that because they saw the whole thing going on, and there was video evidence of it. So that I mean that's the only thing I've experienced, like negativity. Will I ever experience that again? Probably not. It might have been a once in a lifetime kind of deal. But after that, like it pretty much changed my whole life, aspect of life, pretty much, this investigation.
Well, it kind of fits the location that you were at. You said you were at a prison, and not the best of people are in prison, right?
No.
So they're probably not the best of people in the afterlife either. So it makes sense. One and one adds up to two. I get it.
Well, it's crazy because when you go to different places where people say like, oh, this has negative energy, you know, stuff has been thrown around, or it's like a demon or whatever it is. Because I've done a lot of residential cases where they're like, oh, this person grabbed me off the bed, and I go there and nothing happens. So sometimes you got to look into it like, okay, let's assess the situation. Let's see what's going on and feel it out. And if nothing happens, let's keep, you know, coming back over and over. And if nothing happens, it could be something maybe psychological or maybe something that they're experiencing by themselves, and it won't happen to anybody else.
Right. And you hit like a really good point there, because like, I know for me, like when I go places and I hear the stories of people that have had experiences, I listen with a grain of salt, not in the way that I disbelieve them, but in a way that I don't want it to affect how I go into the location. Because like you said, it affects everyone differently. How's your mental mindset at the time? Yeah. Are you afraid? Because spirits feed on fear, right? Like there's all these different aspects that go into it. And like the whole being dragged out of bed thing, like, listen, I got dragged out of bed after I left the Hinsdale house. Literally the night I got home from the Hinsdale house, I got dragged out of bed. At the time, I thought it was negative. I was freaking out. But guess what? Like with some time and some more understanding, that's not what it was at all. It wasn't negative. It was a spirit that was like, hey, guess what? You forgot to like do your protection when you left. So little reminder that you should probably be a little bit more careful, because I've never felt attacked when something like that. Like we don't know what they're doing or why or how they could communicate. Maybe it was supposed to be a tug that ended up you being like pulled out of bed. We don't know that.
It could be a message that they're trying to get to you to send to a loved one. I mean, or like I said, it could be psychological, because a lot of people don't realize psychological compared to realness of actually an experience it is two different things. Because when people think of it psychologically, I know I'm talking big words, which I never do. But when you think it's psychological, a lot of people, I think, look for it and then they imagining it. And they're like, no, it's there. It's there. I mean, like I had this case where this lady, she said she paid $2,500 to get herself checked. And we were there, you know, because she wanted us to come and check it. So but nothing really happened. It was totally dead and flat. No EVPs, no nothing, or EMS. It was totally quiet. And we went there, I think, 3 times because she said she kept having stuff happen. She was seeing these lights. And so it's like you never know what situation you're going into, if it's psychological or if it's actually something happening.
Absolutely. And like, I'm a firm believer that like we can manifest activity, and sometimes
by ourselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just like the Phillips experiment. If anyone knows what that is, where they like made up this whole persona and like gave it to these people at that seance. And then the people at the seance started communicating with him, with Philip. And it's like, what? You know, like we can manifest that stuff. And a lot of times when I used to do residential cases, like that's what you want to look for so that you can help them, because it's actually not like spirits or entities. It's their own stuff that they have to process and deal with, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a very interesting question. I mean, we could talk about this all night, but it's just very interesting. I like that subject, but I know we wouldn't be able to have time to talk about it, but What was your most crazy experience at the Hinsdale? Since we're talking about the Hinsdale, I know you said you had something that followed you. What was the most craziest experience?
Yeah, that wasn't my craziest thing. So my craziest experience actually happened while I was inside the house. So it was when I first went there with the girl that I co-hosted the event with, and Dan had left. This was before like all the high tech stuff, right? So Dan had left, and we're in like the middle of the woods, the middle of nowhere. Anyone who's been there knows it's like in the middle of nowhere. We had posted that we were there, and we see the motion light go up. So like we immediately called Dan. We're like, "Hey, are you still here? Like you left like half an hour ago." And he's like, "No, I'm like almost home." So we start freaking out, and we're like, "Oh my God, someone saw that we're here, just two girls alone in the middle of the woods. We're going to get murdered." And then we hear running upstairs. And then we see shadows in the kitchen because we were in the living room at the time. And then we heard like a big bam, like on the window behind us. And we turn and look, and then it happened on the other wall. So we turn and look, and it happened on the other wall. And like the house was shaking. The house started shaking. It was absolutely wild. Like that was probably like one of my favorite experiences there. It was out of this world.
That's awesome. Yeah, that place. Well, I know Dan was telling me that place. I guess whoever lived there back then, the place actually shook.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty interesting that you were saying that, because that kind of made me think of the project we're working on that I was looking at, and it was talking about that story of the family, and the whole place rattled like it was like a freaking earthquake. It's pretty interesting. Someone has a question here for you. I am curious, Animal, is Melody related to Eric Knapp?
Yes, I am. That is my cousin.
Oh, that's awesome.
I used to be on his team. I used to be on New Hampshire Project Paranormal. I also starred on Hunting the Haunted, which aired online as well. Yeah, Eric is my cousin.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. That's cool. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So what other crazy places have you been to on your paranormal journey?
I've been to some wild places.
What's the most craziest couple?
Craziest couple. So I went to, I don't know if you ever heard of the Horsefly Chronicle House. Also, it's in Pennsylvania.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. So it's Phil and Julia Syracusa. And they had like what claimed to be like a demonic haunting. I've been there a couple of times. Last time I was there, I think it was in early 2017. I think it was like May of 2017. I hosted an event there, and we had some crazy stuff. I like locked myself in like the basement where the portal was for an hour, and had some crazy activity happen. I like could have swore like the doll on the shelf was moving, and anyone who knows me knows I don't do dolls. Like, give me all the other weird, creepy, haunted stuff. Keep your dolls away from me. I don't want that. Like, I don't know. It's just like my thing. I don't do dolls, so that was pretty wild.
Nope, I don't like dolls. That's one thing I don't do. That and clowns.
All these people that collect haunted dolls, I'm like, I'm so glad you found your thing, because that is not my thing at all.
That
like I don't mind clowns so much. It's like the dolls. Like, I don't know. I had like a terrifying experience when I was younger where like my brother forced me to watch Child's Play, and like I was like super young, and I was like, oh my God, no, dolls are going to kill me. And like everything.
That movie gave me nightmares and terrors my whole life.
I mean, you watch it now and it's like super funny, but at the time I was horrified.
I swear, if I saw a dog freaking throw a rock at it, freaking spooky. I remember I went to Wildwood Sanitarium. I don't know if you've been there, but it's right, I think it's like 20 minutes from Hinsdale House. And there's a room upstairs where it's nothing but a freaking doll room. I'm like, no, I went right past it. It was a bunch of dolls all over the place. It's like, yep, you can keep that room.
Mental note not to go there, like in that room when I go there. So
cool place, but just a doll room. Yeah, I don't do dolls.
I don't do dolls. They're definitely not for me. So another place I really enjoy is the Bridgewater Triangle. Have you ever heard of that in Massachusetts? No?
Weird. No, I have not heard about these places.
Oh, I love it. Okay. So the Bridgewater Triangle is this like huge area that is kind of related to the Bermuda Triangle, where it has all these crazy claims, right? So it has claims of like Sasquatch, aliens, giant serpents, jaguars, Pug Wedgies, fairies, like the list goes on and on. It's absolutely wild. And so I used to be a paranormal news correspondent for Spooky South Coast, and they always do like a live Bridgewater Triangle investigation every like September-ish. It's like in the fall. And I actually joined that, and I don't know, Jeremy, I was actually there with Eric as well, my cousin, and we investigated the woods in Massachusetts. I love that place. I love that place.
That's
it's
awesome.
so crazy. Like it has like this weird, like you're almost like in another dimension. And I don't know, it kind of just like links back to like my fascination with the woods at Hinsdale. Like I always just feel like out in nature, there's just so much more. Like I don't need a creepy, broken down, abandoned asylum to be like, oh yeah, there's activity. I'm like in the middle of the woods and I'm like, yep, this is it. This is where it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, I'm a big woods guy. I'm a hunter, so I can live out in the woods, sleep. I've slept in the woods before. I do it all. I mean, I just had my first ever Bigfoot experience.
No, you did. Okay, I'm sorry. You have to tell me about it.
A few weeks ago, up in I think it was Indiana. I don't know if any of the guys that are listening I went to. I don't know if Ernie and Denise are on, but we went with this guy named Squatchman, and amazing guy. If you ever want to go and hang out with him,
I think I know who you're talking about. I think we're friends on Facebook.
Is it I think it's Greg Yost.
Yes. Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Cool.
This guy, before I tell you my experience, this guy is amazing. Mm-hmm. You might think like he's out there, but this guy is a real deal. When he calls them I think he calls them his forest people, but he said he just calls them out, and you just see things happen, rocks being thrown, trees being knocked down. Just so you can see the eyes of just this amazing creature just looking at you from a distance. And going to my Bigfoot experience, we were walking around the tree area. We were just walking down the ledge area, which was beautiful, by the way, because there's no lights. You can see all the freaking stars, which is like amazing. Because I live in the city where I'm at right now in Florida, and it sucks. You can't see nothing. So we're walking down, and I see this big figure just going like this, freaking 8 feet tall, broad shoulders, big freaking head, and it's just sitting there going like this, and then it just disappears.
That's awesome.
It was the most craziest, amazing, because that was on my bucket list. I've always wanted to see a Bigfoot. People are like, no, it's not real, blah, blah, blah. There's no such thing. There's no proof. Freaking there is a Bigfoot, and I'm going to tell you, they are real people. So you could eat that in a bunch of whatever, because they're real.
Who cares what anyone thinks? Like we know the truth. All this stuff is real. I believe in all of it. Even the stuff I haven't experienced, I believe in it. So
I'm like, it's just so crazy. Just like you think it's like mythology or whatever it is, but when you experience it, it's like takes your breath away. It's hard to explain because it's a creature that, like, where the hell did this creature come from, by the way? And, is it paranormal? Is it real? Well, it has to be real because people see footprints all the time and experience it. So, why the hell not?
Yeah. No, I'm all on board. I'm all on the Sasquatch board. All in. I've never seen one, but I 100% believe Sasquatch exists.
Now, one thing that was interesting to me that's at Hinsdale is that Dan told me that there's Pug Wedgies. And I don't really know what a Pug Wedgie is. If you can explain that to me, that'd be awesome.
Okay, so Pug Wedgies are this mythology creature, I guess you could say. So they are little creatures that actually try to trick trick you. They're tricksters. So like the theory of Pug Wedgies is that if you upset them, they will lead you to your demise. So a lot of the stories, like I'll just reference like the Bridgewater Triangle because it's like the one that's coming to me. So there's like these big cliffs in the woods in the Achusa State Park. And people have literally fallen off the cliffs being led by Pug Wedgies, because what they will do is they will lead you to danger. So there's all these different approaches when it comes to Pug Wedgies, but essentially they are just like little creatures, like little hairy creatures, like think like little teddy bears, but not really teddy bears, like super miniature. And they're just like in the woods prancing around. And if you upset them, you are in trouble. But they just like to, normally they just like to do fun things, like play tricks on you.
Yeah.
So if you're ever investigating Pug Wedgies, be respectful because they can mess you up.
Well, when we go back to Hinsdale in March, we'll have to check that out and probably film it because that'd be freaking cool if...
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And by the way, George, you're late, so what we were talking about is Bigfoot, so you missed the whole story, man. But anyways, so what kind of... Let's go back to... Huh?
I'm sorry, I saw his, can you two stop and start over?
Sorry, George. You missed almost an hour's worth, so it's too late, buddy. You got to go back to replay it. I'm just kidding, brother. We love you. But anyways, let's go back to what kind of paranormal device do you like to use or utilize on an investigation?
So I'm a firm believer that the human body is the best tool that you can use. It is the best piece of equipment that you can use on an investigation.
Amen.
Especially if you're in tune with your body. Like I always like to do like a checklist. Okay. So like I live on like no sleep and Red Bull like all the time because I'm a single mom and like I work crazy hours and I also do paranormal investigating. But like I always try to eat like super healthy, like before an investigation. I drink plenty of water because like you want to rule out the things like dehydration, you know, low blood sugar, things like that. Like I want my body to be in the best possible form ever when I'm going into a place like that, because any little change I want to know that it's not something that I did myself and I'm like pretty in tune with my body. So that's always like my go-to. But I know that when people ask that question, they want like a specific piece of equipment. So I'm going to go with the basics. Like, you know, we were talking about earlier, Dan's the tech guy. He's been introducing me to some incredible stuff, but I am a forever skeptic when it comes to equipment. I think it's easily manipulated. People are able to influence their narrative with it. Like the spirit boxes, I think a big problem is that people will hear something and make it to be what they were hoping it would be. And then once they say it out loud, you listen back and you're like, oh yeah, I heard Sarah too, but like maybe it wasn't Sarah, you know? So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So my piece of equipment that you're asking about, digital recorder.
Agree.
Super easy. But I love learning about the new equipment and I do love using it. I'm just very hesitant to consider it like concrete proof or concrete evidence. I think that there's a lot of variables that go into it. And if used properly and with like the knowledge of how it works, how it can fail, it can be a great tool. Yeah. So that's my little soapbox.
Now, one thing like with me with electronics, especially on a paranormal investigation, having so many like electronics together, especially your cell phone, could set off things and give like negative, you know, of what you're trying to get. And it's just like, I've had that happen where like I've had my phone in my pocket and I'm having an EMF detector and all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, there's something here, you know? But then I'm like realizing my phone, someone's texting me, and as soon as someone texts me, it sends out that energy out and it detects it, which it's just crazy stuff. Like a lot of things you never know if someone caught that on the show, if it was something from the electronic, it might have not been paranormal and you thought it was.
Exactly. That's why it's like so imperative to go back to the basics, which is do a base reading of everything. leave your phone outside of the location. Never bring your phone inside of the location. That's where these, I know I don't mean it to be controversial, but like these phone apps drive me bananas because they conflict with all other equipment that you have on you. I'm a firm believer that your phone needs to be outside of wherever you are, not in your possession. And I even like click it onto airplane mode just in case.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things, like always do your base readings, because if you go through the whole place, you do your base readings, then when it comes up later, it's like, oh, this didn't hit earlier when I was doing my base reading. Let's investigate it further. And that's just, that gives you a little bit of extra time to actually dive in to what's going on, you know? So
yeah,
another moment.
I know. I love your soapbox moments. That's really awesome. Like with me, like when I'm like paranormal investigating, I just like to sit there and just chill. I know I say this all the time and people hear me this all the time. And some people, well, no, you got to use this, this, and this. And I'm like, just sit and relax, because if you focus on the things, I've said this in a quote on Facebook, if you focus more on the things you're looking at, you're going to miss the opportunity that's going to come in front of you.
Absolutely.
So that's why
and you hit it. Like, oh, it's so perfect. But like every location I go to, well, everyone's doing like the chaos of like setting stuff up, because like, spoiler alert, I'm actually not good with like technology. I work in the tech industry, but I'm like an inspector. I'm a quality inspector. So I have like a good eye for detail. I don't know what wires connect to what. Sorry. So anyway, while they're all doing that, I like to walk around the locations by myself, completely solitary, and kind of connect. And I'll sit in each room and not say anything, not have any equipment with me, just sit, feel it. Does anything change? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel sad? Does it feel happy? You know, and then just move on to the next room. And then it kind of gives me like a really good not really understanding, but it gives me a good base for when I go in later to actually like investigate, like, oh, I was getting some feelings in this room. Now I'm not. Let's go to the next, you know? I don't know. I think it's a really important thing that gets missed a lot, because a lot of investigators know they can be hectic, especially in the beginning with setups and all that, and like trying to get the history and like the people and the witnesses and like all this stuff. And like sometimes we just need to
calm it down.
Just be, you know.
And sometimes just relaxing on an investigation is just, it's fun in itself, because it's like hunting. Like sometimes a deer might come out, sometimes they might not, but the experience is just being there. Just be able to see the history that happened in front of you, of where people were there, you know, you could just feel their energy and their collectiveness, which is just such a cool experience in itself. You know, people going through the hospital, you know, people going through the jail and stuff. You could feel that through the walls. So it's just cool just sitting there and just feeling that, and especially be able to hear things in different areas, especially if you're by yourself.
Oh yeah. And I'm like a huge history nerd, and like, let's be real, a lot of these locations are rich in history.
Yes.
So for me, it's just so wild to be like walking in like the footsteps of our predecessors, you know, and to just know what happened inside the walls, you know, like it's just, I have nothing but respect for these places. Even jails, because like, there are people that are, you know, convicted, false convictions, things like that. And not saying like every person that ends up what I'm saying is not every person who ends up in jail is a bad person. Sometimes we make bad choices, and those are the consequences to our bad choices, right? You just feel it. You feel the sadness, you feel the anger, you feel just the fear. Like, I don't know, it's just so crazy, especially like knowing the history of a place. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how you could acknowledge that stuff if you're go the whole time.
Well, I'll never forget, I went to a place, it was Berkeley Plantation in Virginia recently. I think it was like a week or two ago. I went with my family, and the history of it, one of the people who owned the plantation was, I guess they got to sign the Declaration of Independence. And when I found that out, was just standing in that property, it's like you get goosebumps and excitement. Yeah. It's kind of like a turn on for history. Just it comes alive. Everything like disappears and you're like in it. You're living it. If you're so much into history like I am, it's you just pretty much just imagining, oh my gosh, there are soldiers right there just lining up. Like you see it like comes alive, and it's just really cool to be able to experience that whole thing that comes in front of you.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite parts, honestly.
Yeah. So, Melody, what kind of wisdom would you give a paranormal investigator starting out? Before we get off here.
Okay. So the advice I would give is stay true to your morals. Because I think it's really easy to get kind of carried away and be like, oh, this project looks really cool, but it could be completely against what you're looking to do in the field. You know, I think a lot of people are like fame hungry and like money hungry, but like there's no money in the paranormal field. I'm really sorry to like burst your bubble. It's literally just passion. We run on passion and like pennies. Passion and
heart.
And heart. But that's the thing. Like, just stay true to what makes you do it, what makes you keep coming back. And it's for like the truth. We're all looking for evidence. We're all looking for communication, right? Just stay true to you, and like you're well on your way, because I think a lot of people lose that. So as long as you like keep that close, it's probably like the best piece of advice you could be given, because everyone has their different theories and techniques, and use this, don't use that, like go here, don't go there, like all of that nonsense, which be my guest, like follow down that. But like, as long as you're staying close to like your heart and like why you're here and that passion, like you can't do any wrong. I mean, you could do wrong, but you're doing it for the right reasons. So.
And just like you were saying about the fame and the money thing, it's like, I want to add to something to that, because you're so right. I think a lot of times, like, you're so focused on the fame and all that stuff and all the things out there, like all the gloriness, and we lose the passion of what we're actually searching for, because we focus more on the other things, like, oh, am I going to be on TV? Am I going to be on Travel Channel? Am I going to be on this? That will come later. Focus on what your desire is and what your heart is. That's what will get you famous. Inside, in here, your heart, and everywhere. People will see that. Once people see your heart, they will want to have what you have. And it's contagious. So if anybody out there has learned anything from listening to Animal Paranormal Live or my amazing guests, just be patient in the paranormal. It might take a while. An entity might not show up for who knows how long, but just enjoy it. And enjoy the love of the game. And have fun. It's all about having fun and, making people smile.
Yep.
So is there anything before we head out, is there any projects, anything that you're coming up with, anything new?
Yes. So I have 2 projects that I'm in pre-production on, so I cannot talk about them, but I will let you guys know you have not seen the last of this face. I just have so many crazy ideas in my head, and I want people to view them.
Yeah.
I can kind of dive into a little bit of one. So I'm working on a documentary that dives into the correlation of addiction or alcoholism and paranormal experiences, because I absolutely believe that they correlate. And I have firsthand experience, and I've met many people along my journey. For those who don't know, I'm in recovery. I'm very vocal about it. Sometimes I forget, people might not know I am in recovery. I have a little over 2 years clean.
That's awesome.
So I'm a woman in long-term discovering. It's something I'm super passionate about. So this project that I'm talking about kind of like combines all of that. And I absolutely believe that there's a correlation between the two. And we were kind of touching on it earlier, how we can kind of manifest our current mental states, wherever that may be. And it also makes addicts and alcoholics the prime targets for negative attacks. Because if you think about it, they're always going for people that are like not strong mentally and like don't have much connection and are built on fear. And like for people that don't know, if you have the disease of addiction, your life is run on fear. You have fear of yourself. You have fear of accepting life as it is, life on its own terms. You have fear of people actually getting close to you. You have fear of success. You have fear of absolutely everything. So you are the perfect person for an entity with malintent to kind of target.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Well, I am very excited to have you on this show, and I'm excited for Ghost Finders. Will you be on the net? Is there going to be another episode coming out?
There is, but I do not know the release date.
Okay. Will you be on it?
I will. Be on it. I am now an official cast member. They just announced it today. So
I saw that.
Yep.
Congratulations. That's freaking
Thank
cool.
you.
I'm proud of you. That's really good stuff when stuff happens like that. And I can't wait to see the second episode. Like I said, the first one was amazing, and I can't wait to see the second one. But thank you so much for coming on Animal Paranormal Live. I mean, I could talk forever, but I know you like gotta wake up early in the morning for work. So, but I will talk to you in the green room in a little bit. We're about to end this session, but guys, thank you so much for tuning in on Animal Paranormal Live. You guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you next Monday.
Bye.